All right, welcome. We're joined with Paige today. We found this little fucking rock situation in the middle of fucking nowhere in Calgary, so
Truthfully, the middle of nowhere.
yeah, we're literally just gonna shoot here and take some swim photos at fucking 8 p.m.
Let's fucking go!
Okay, so Paige bravely endured this fucking Calgary weather.
So fucking cold.
And now the sun is going down, so we're gonna call it quits for today. Thanks for watching. All right, welcome back, y'all. We are doing this set that if you literally just watched the behind the scenes, that is what we are editing now. This is a little bit different than the other video that I did because the other video, we did not have this lovely, glowy, oily looking skin in the shot. And this is something that I very recently learned, so I figured it would be kind of cool to do the video that I just did and the video that we're doing now, just to show you guys. I don't know why I keep zooming in and out. Sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought. I wanted to do the other video to show you how you can get a decent result even if you don't have that lovely sheen that a lot of people end up doing with swimwear. I'm going to preface this by saying that if I had a preference, I think I love having this glowy, oily looking skin just because I feel like it looks a little bit more high fashion in terms of swimwear. Now, keep in mind, if you don't put enough, oh my God, totally thought I was gonna burp for a second there. I'm like, just finished lunch. Okay, my bad. Let me rephrase. If you don't put enough body oil, you're not going to get that sheen. So that is something very important to keep in mind. And as per usual, you want to make sure, I don't know why I have that layer there. I'm just going to exit out of that. You want to make sure that you're just following the natural location of the highlights and the shadows. If you wanted it to look different, obviously, if we were on set and I had the time or, was more picky versus what I usually am, I might have readjusted her legs to get that nice sheen across the whole leg. But again, like I said in the last video, it's mostly about how you shoot the actual swimwear. I'm going to do a new layer though. And in the last video, the only troubles we had was really getting that natural look to look nicely retouched. You could probably do a little bit more work on that one if you wanted to, but for my purposes, I was pretty happy with our end result. So I'm just going to make a new layer here. And you'll see we have that like nice highlight. This is why I was really wanting that body oil, because you'll see all up here. Yeah, it just catches the light. And this was, I didn't use any flash for this, which if you're just starting out or if you're curious, I don't know why I said it that way. If you're curious, these were some of the questions that I had though when I was starting. So I'm just going to say them because I think it might be helpful for someone else. But basically, the thing that I had a hard time with was assuming that it was shot in natural light. But I'll link below Anita Sadowska. I'm not sure if that's how you say her name, but she has a YouTube channel here as well. And she mostly shoots natural light, which I was watching her videos before I started doing this because this is still a fairly new area for me. I've done retouching for like 3-4 years now, but the swimwear, I've never really shot too much of that. So I was kind of curious how she goes about getting that nice highlight, which I think honestly like is one of the major components of swimwear. And it was really interesting because she shoots natural light, but I realized that she just doses people. Like when we were with, I'll put the little clip maybe or something, or if it was before, you'll understand what I'm talking about. We literally showered Paige in fucking body oil. And then of course, depending on how you position the model, you're going to see more of it or less of it, or it'll show up in different areas, which is kind of cool because it kind of gives you that high fashion, like natural look, because the highlights are coming in a more natural way than if you were to just, paint them in along the leg there and just try and make it look like fake, if that makes sense. So I just did this here. And really, again, I did this in the last video. I just wanted to show like where I wanted the highlights and the shadows. Again, you don't have to do this. This is like something that I kind of mentally do in my head, but it's one of those things when you're retouching a photo that is nice to keep in mind. So she doesn't have a ton of luminosity differences. I'm going to do my action here and just double check. You should be able to download this action in the description box. Hopefully, if I haven't already figured it out, there's going to be like a freebie section on my website, so check it out. This is a little bit different. I know there's so many dodge and burn actions out there and frequency separation, but I like to put a blurred layer and a black and white because I find that helps show you the highlights and the shadows when you're starting out. So if you like that, check below and you should be able to download it. But I'm quite happy in terms of the actual luminosity. The only thing I might do is going to take a very large brush on like a low flow. I'm just going to brighten her face a little bit just because I feel like we weren't catching the sun too much. We're going to fix up everything and make it look nice and smooth, but I'm just going in and targeting a few areas. I'm just burning her swimsuit a little bit so it's a little bit more true to tone. And I might just burn her arm a little bit. I feel like that looks pretty good. Fairly even. Again, we want more of the attention on her face, so I'm happy that we brightened it up a little bit. I'm just gonna make my brush a little lower, just make sure I'm not brightening her hair too much. And then on that note, I'm just gonna brighten the lighter strands. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I'm just gonna flatten my image, run that again. Where are we? Wrong section. Here we go. So yeah, I think like I mentioned in the last one, the biggest thing is to really just make sure you are only fixing the areas of concern rather than changing the actual highlights and shadows of the photo. So we'll start on her face. I'm just doing some smaller spots that really stick out. I'm actually going to bring this down to 2 because we don't want to change too much. At least that's not the way that I like to retouch. I like to keep it fairly natural. If we wanted to spend way more time on this, we could get real fancy and go very high-end retouch, but I'm just going to mostly just do like the larger areas that bug me. It's always a little bit different when you're shooting beauty versus basically anything else because beauty requires so much detail. And I'm still obviously learning. I feel like everyone's always learning. At least I like to try and keep that attitude because I'm so over all the people acting like they know the best way to do a particular thing. Because I think it depends on the person. So we're just going in. I'm burning right now. I'm just evening out a few areas where it was a little bit too light. Nothing dramatic though. Just gonna switch to dodge. I'm gonna zoom out just to see. It's not too bad. I'm gonna work a little bit on from like a little bit further away. It's very easy to get caught up in like all of the very minor pores when you're dodging and burning. I might make a video on how to use frequency separation and doing the same thing, like retouching this photo or doing a different photo, whatever you guys think. But I mostly like dodge and burn just because of I find it doesn't fuck with the actual image too much. Whereas like frequency separation, it's very easy, I think, to like not ruin it per se, but I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of using that technique too much. Like I like to use it for beauty for sure. But when it doesn't require that much detail, I'm like, may as well dodge and burn. It's basically just like painting. So much less work. If there are some areas that you're having trouble with though, like you can go in and just, you don't have to, like the thing with frequency separation is that everyone thinks they have to do the whole image and you really don't have to. I did that before, like the odd time too, I get stuck and I like have to remind myself, like I don't have to do the whole image. When I was first starting out though, I did that a lot. And yeah, you can basically, if you have a trouble area, say like we dodge and burn as much as we can on her leg and it's just getting to the point where it's like, okay, like this is taking so much time, then yeah, you could use frequency separation and that kind of speeds the process up. I think a lot of people like it. Definitely can see why it's so popular. But I just feel like the results are not quite the same. But I don't know. You know, sometimes I like love using it and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, why did I use it? Okay. I'm just trying to follow roughly what is already there. I am quite happy with that so far. I'm just going to work a little bit more on her face here. I'm not trying to completely reshape or anything. Just sort of softening those transitions. My dog is fully aware of this other dog that's barking, which is hilarious. In my last video, I was talking about how my dog was feeling sick. And if you can hear him, you don't sound very sick. Of course, now he shuts up. Okay. I'm not going to do too much on the hand. I think it's very easy because the hand has so many teeny tiny transitions that I find it's very easy to make it look really fake. So I'm not going to do too much. Let's bring that down to 1. I'm kind of just going over the shadows right now. This is the thing too with dodge and burn, is you kind of just go all over the place. I usually just pick a spot that I want to work and then go from there. But I think adding in a little bit of that contrast really amps up the photo just a bit. Okay. We're gonna go down in here. I'm just gonna dodge. We're gonna try and avoid frequency separation, but if we can't, if we're gonna use it for anything, it's gonna be in the armpit area. So we'll just dodge and burn it first and see if we can get it to a point where we're happy with it and we don't have to, but I won't rule it out just because it does work really well for armpits. Just going in and showing a little bit more attention to those shoulders. Alrighty, so she's got some, if you turn off the help layers, you'll notice she has some freckles. I'm actually quite fine with those. I'm not going to touch them too much. She's got that scar on her neck, so we can dodge and burn it, but we'll probably go in with frequency separation because I'm not overly satisfied with, what is it called, with her armpit area, but that's fine. We'll work on that in a minute. I do usually like to kind of just go through and kind of do like one round, I guess, of dodge and burn all over, and then go back in and target any areas that might need a little bit more work. But I try not to stress about that too much right away, just because it's very easy, at least for me anyway, to focus on one area and then 3 hours later, not necessarily 3 hours, but you know, just me being dramatic. Later, I'm like, holy fuck, why did I spend all that time on this one area? Because I still have so much to do. We're also going to leave, there's a bit of a smudge from some sand, but I kind of like that look, so we're going to leave that. If I really wanted to, though, I could probably dodge and burn that out, or you can use frequency separation as well. But we'll keep it in just because we're on the beach. That's the point of the photo. Well, we weren't really on a beach, but you know, we were at a fake beach in the middle of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And it worked for the purposes that we needed it to. But aside from that, I have not found a single place in Calgary that has anything close to beaches. So that is why we're working with what we have. Okay. I'm just going to do a little bit of dodging and burning on the larger side here. I'm just going to go in and kind of even out this area here. I could zoom in and be a little bit more specific, but I'll do that in the second round. I'm just kind of wanting to start to form that shape. Because you can see it, you just kind of want to lightly dodge and burn it until it takes a better shape. Yeah, I'm happy with that so far. So the important thing, I think, or one important thing for retouching in general is your highlights and your shadows are not always going to be linear. I think a lot of people think that, there's going to be one line down the center. But I find what makes a really good retouch is actually acknowledging that sometimes it's a little odd, the shape of it. We think starting out, we get so focused on trying to replicate like a 2D map of like where everything should be on the face, while half the time we should actually just be looking at what we're working on and analyzing it from there. Let's see what that looks like. So that's before, and that's after. I'm quite happy with how it's going so far. We will zoom in and do a little bit more just to kind of really polish it up. But what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna flatten it because I hate merging and I could not tell you why. So what we're gonna do is just run this action here. And I'm gonna just turn off the texture for now. We're just focusing on her armpit here. Might zoom out a little bit. So you could, if you wanted to, you can do this a few different ways. You can use your clone stamp and just working on the skim layer. I don't love how this looks though, but I'll just show you. You can kind of buff out those odd tones from those, what do you call it? Why is the word escaping me right now? Those folds basically under the armpit, which everybody gets. It's pretty normal. The only thing that I don't love about the clone stamp is that sometimes it can look a little bit obvious. Don't mind me, now I'm just doing something else. Okay, let's see. So that's a little bit better. I kind of brightened it up a bit. I'm just going to, I want to keep this on because I think it's going to make it look a little bit more real. But I'm just grabbing some stuff kind of around here to kind of brighten that up too. Let's just see if I like how that looks. That looks a little fake. What I might do, bring that down. Actually, I'm going to take this out here. This is why I hate clone stamp, because I think it's very easy for things to look fake. So what I'm gonna do actually, let's go in. You could use the clone stamp on the texture layer as well. That might actually help us to get rid of that fold texture. And again, when you're working on anything with the clone stamp during frequency separation, you want to make sure you're sampling current layer. That way it won't affect any of the other layers. So we literally just took out the texture of that fold. And I think what we're gonna do, we're not gonna brighten it too much in frequency separation. I'm actually going to leave that how it is. And then we will do a little bit more dodge and burn in here. I think we should keep the shadow there just to keep it realistic. Same thing, I'm just gonna do, where are we? Just this little area right here. Now, depending on how you like your retouch, you can keep these things in. I like to keep a few of them in, but I don't like to have all of them, so I'll probably dodge and burn that, honestly, actually. But I'm going to keep one of those folds in. So we have taken the texture and replaced it with something else. So actually, before I move on, I forgot for a quick second here that we had this guy as well. We're just removing that texture so that when we go back in, it's a little bit easier to dodge and burn, and then it doesn't look as weird. So let's flatten this. You could merge it as well, or, you know, I don't even pay attention anymore to how other people do it, but you could find a different way to do it if that makes you feel better. But I'm going to bring this up a little bit so I can see what I'm working on. And let's go in here on the dodge layer. Now we're not going to brighten it too much just because it's underneath her arm. So it's going to be more dark than anything, but just this area here where it is kind of hitting the light, we will just dodge a little bit. And then just a smidge where that used to be. And then what we're going to do is go back down and go burn. I'm just going to burn just along the edge of her arm here to like separate that from underneath her arm. And let's just see how that looks. I kind of like the way that looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit less harsh, but let's see if that does the trick. We might have to do some color correction. A little bit, yeah. Honestly, though, I'm happier with that than before. But what I might do is just dodge that just a little bit more, and I'm going to just soften the line that we are keeping ever so slightly. And then we'll just do a little bit under the boob as well, just to keep that shape. We don't want to flatten it, right? All right. Happier with that. Let's do the scar on her neck. Just mostly evening it out. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm like looking at the rest of her skin now. I'm like, is there anything else? Let's do down here before I forget, and then we'll do the dodge and burn for the rest of the body. Let's bring that down a bit. So yeah, again, we might have to do a little bit of color correction, but nothing crazy. We'll work on that in a minute. Okay, quite happy with those areas. Let's just take a look. Yeah, I think those look pretty good. I'm just gonna brighten up this little piece here. Okay, now what I'm gonna do to set up, well, let's flatten that. I'm like, how many times is Megan gonna flatten the photo? Okay. So let's go in here. Let's bring, actually, let's see. A good way to double check your work is to change if you have your help layer on, if you're using these actions or if you're using whatever, change it so that the yellows are all the way down. And then that'll kind of show you some other inconsistencies that you may have missed. I'm just going to zoom in. We'll keep it there. All right, so this will kind of help you if you're missing something, or if you want to look at like how the transitions are working in your image. And then if you need to fix them, you can. Highly recommend keeping your flow at a very low percentage, just because making those changes can be a pain in the ass if you're using like 10% flow. It can tend to look a little bit harsh compared to the rest of the image. Where are we? Let's just take a peek. And you will want to reference this with how the actual image looks. So don't be afraid to turn that off once in a while. Yeah, see? Too much. Actually, what I'm gonna do where was I seeing this the other day? It's possible I'm totally wrong here, but let's bring these reds down a bit more. Or actually, okay, I think this might have been what I did. Sorry, I'm like trying to remember. I knew I did something with the yellows and I was like, I can't not say something, but I like could not remember what I did. Okay, we are going to delete that. This is why I wanted to keep this in, just because I feel like a lot of people on YouTube act like they know everything and everybody's learning. So if I can learn some stuff along with you guys, it's great. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. Okay. And if you have a better method of checking your dodge and burn work, let me know, because I'd love to learn. So yeah, what I did, sorry, I didn't bring it this way. I brought it this way. So you bring the yellows all the way up and the reds down. And that just kind of creates a bit of a contrast and helps you kind of see your retouching work. I'm just going to bring this to a lower brush. And keep in mind, you want to double check your work as you're going, like I did in the first little bit, because we noticed that I was missing something. This is working better, so we are good to go. It's always good to double check that, because sometimes you could be possibly working on the wrong layer or just not creating the effect that you thought you were making. And I like using the black and white layer. Some people are like, oh, just turn it off, use a color layer or whatever. I have such a hard time seeing those minor inconsistencies though. So I love me a help layer. So if you also like a help layer and you find you're forgetting to check your work, this is your reminder to check your fucking work. I don't know if you can hear my dog licking his lips. He's such a weird, I love you so much. I'm looking right at him. He's a very weird dog though. Thought he was sick all weekend. Now he's acting fine, barking at things outside. Couldn't tell you. Honestly, being a dog parent is a little bit of a mystery sometimes. Like, I was sitting here so worried for him. So worried that I was going to miss something and he was going to be very sick. And he's just vibing. Having a nap, all that jazz. Having a great time. Okay. So I'm just going through, I'm not making too many changes because I find, unless that is your style, if you like a very polished image, maybe you want to spend, more than however, I don't even know what time we're at, however long this is, more than 20 minutes, more than 30 minutes, whatever. For me, I like to keep things fairly natural. So I do go over the image twice, sometimes more depending on the person's skin, but my ultimate goal is to just keep it basically how I shot it, but just a little bit more polished because I just like the results. Okay. The big thing that I wanted to focus on actually was her leg. So I think that's where most of the attention goes, in my opinion. So I'm going to be spending a little bit more time on her actual leg. So I will probably speed this part up so you guys aren't sitting here like, when is this bitch going to finish? Why does she keep rambling about the most weirdest thing? So if you want to fast forward, I will put timestamps below, but feel free to just watch me edit. If you really want to, you can change the playback speed. I used to do that on YouTube videos all the time because everybody would put time-lapse videos and then you're like, what are you doing? I can't see. And I thought they were being sneaky, but I changed the playback speed. Slowed that shit right down. So there you go, pro tip. Go watch some retouching videos and change their playback speed to like 0.25, whatever. And you'll be able to see all of the stuff they're doing. I thought it was super helpful when I was starting out. Anyway, I'm going to keep retouching. Feel free to skip past this. All right, so this is the final image that we came up with today. I'm quite happy with how it turned out ultimately. I think it looked pretty cool. Whoops, that is a totally different photo. Where are we? I can tell it's been a long day because I'm also working on other shit. Okay. Like I said, that is the final image for this. If you have any questions about anything below, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one, hopefully with another behind the scenes. If not, I have no clue, but it will be some sort of tutorial, I'm sure. So I will talk to you guys later.